Hi guys, today I'm presenting some theoretical and experimental works on soft solid with liquid inclusions in them. And what I'm showing to you today are mainly from the work in these two papers showing up here and also the simulation work done by my friend Yu Hao. Before going to the math too deep, we have to consider a person whose name is Elshoby, a great scientist I have to say. Because his theory of inclusion is well known for years since it provides us analytical solutions to describe how an inclusion of one elastic material deforms when its host matrix is under like a far field tension or far field compression. However, this theory doesn't really take into account the surface energy or surface tension, because in many solids this surface energy or surface tension is so small compared to its volumetric strain energy. Like you squeeze a rubber and that's the energy stored in it. But in some soft solid we're talking about today, the elastic strain energy is comparable to the surface tension or surface energy. So in these cases, we have to take into consideration both energies. We cannot ignore neither of them. So, how can we make this idea more concrete? Professor Helen gives us a dimensions number which is called elastocapillary number to characterize the ratio of these two energies. So that is just the ratio. That is just a ratio between the volumetric strain energy versus the surface tension. Let's make it like this way. So let's say this characteristic number is described by a letter A, which equals to, let's say, upper here is the surface tension or surface traction, and down here is volumetric strain energy. Okay, and which is for surface tension, we know it's the surface tension density gamma acting on its surface A. Well, the volumetric strain energy is shear modulus acting on its volume. We can further make this 2 A over V as some characteristic length L. So that is like the way we describe the relationship between those two energies. And if this number A is quite big, which means that the surface tension is quite larger than the strain energy. So in these cases, we have to mainly focus on surface tension and perhaps reasonably ignore the strain energy. But conversely, if A is so small, we have to mainly focus on the strain energy and can ignore the surface tension, which is happening all over the world, because in this world, many things are so hard and not soft solid. So the surface tension is not that big compared to its volumetric strain energy. But in this presentation, we're talking about things soft. We're saying the soft solids has this number around 1. Okay, before going into the theory too deep, let's just take a look at the experiment setup first. You can see that the incompressible blue droplets are sparsely embedded in the silicon gel so that they couldn't really talk to each other. Thus, we can assume each droplet could be isolated. And also, this silicon gel are glued perfectly onto the silicon sheeting, which will be loaded uniformly in one direction in this experiment. This experiment aims at obtaining the stiffness of this composite material and further explores the way how the presence of fluid-filled droplets changes the shear modulus of the composite material. Now, let's take a look at this example. Isolated fluid-filled droplet in a soft matrix is subject to far-field proportional biaxial strain. The material properties is shown in the left bottom. Yu Hao has repeatedly conducted similar numerical
experiments making everything unchanged except for the aspect ratio of this droplet. Together with the experimental results from Professor Stiles' group, the plot of aspect ratio versus nominal strain is plotted on the right bottom. One can tell the small liquid droplets behave stiffer. To visualize this process, I screenshot the simulation process. One can see there is a semi-hole in the middle of this elastic body. What's within the hole is some sort of liquid inclusion, which will be represented by corresponding surface tension density in our calculation. This visual experiment contains 6 steps. In each step, we applied uniaxial load in x direction. One can see this material is stretched in x direction. Then, the surface tension is applied in the center hole, and due to the presence of the surface tension, the stretched hole will shrink back a little. One can see in each step the hole will deform less, since the surface tension is manually increasing in each step. And this fully illustrates that how the surface tension will influence the deformation of this composite material and further increases material stiffness.
So in general, I'm trying to avoid the math here, since you cannot really understand the math while watching this video and you may forget it soon. But what I wish here in this video is that this video can really bring you some messages to take home with. The first one is that in some soft solids, we really need to consider the surface tension because that is comparable to this free energy that we used to consider. Second, the surface energy caused by the liquid inclusion will increase the stiffness of the host matrix. Thanks for watching this video.